Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Frady. I live in Belmont, and as a teenager, I attended South Point High School. I was proud to be a part of the chorus, visual arts, and theater programs. I am not proud of the Red Raider mascot, but this is not about me. It is about believing Indigenous people when they speak about their own lived experiences. This is about listening when national, state, and local Native American organizations overwhelmingly call for an end to Native mascots. This is about listening to the NCAI, as United States' oldest, largest, and most representative American Indian and Alaskan Native advocacy organization. The National Congress of American Indians has advocated for decades against the derogatory and harmful stereotypes of Native people, including sports mascots. The NCAI has been fighting for this since 1968. This is about listening to the National Indian Education Association, the American Indian Movement, and the American Indian Mental Health Association, all of whom support the NCAI campaign to end the use of Native mascots. This is about listening to the over 50 individual tribes who have in one way or another formally called for an end to Native mascots. A peer-reviewed study concerning the Redskins' name and logo found that 65% of Native Americans were offended by the tomahawk chop, and 73% were offended by fans imitating Native American dances. This is about listening to the voices of our Indigenous neighbors and community members. At the state level in 2000, the NC Commission of Indian Affairs, which represents all 8 North Carolina tribes, passed a resolution calling for the elimination of the use of American Indian mascots from all NC public schools and colleges. The NC State Advisory Council on Indian Education issued a similar resolution. And today, the Metrolina Native American Association, representing 10,000 Native Americans in the Charlotte metropolitan area, including Gaston County, has issued a resolution calling for South Point to change its mascot, saying, though it is argued by many that such mascots, including the Red Raider, serve to honor and memorialize Native people, we do not feel this honor. When we see this imagery, we do not see ourselves reflected back to us. Rather, we see what America thinks we are, savage, a people of before, forever fixed in the past. This is about respecting the rights of Indigenous people to decide how they are portrayed and how they are honored. Thank you. I'm not comfortable giving my address. I live in North Belmont, though. Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you guys. My name is Courtney Williams. I reside at 701 McKnight in Belmont, North Carolina. We come here as the Retire the Red Raider Coalition, understanding the gravity of the moment with COVID going on, and you guys having a huge decision regarding the students and how they're going to attend school. We don't take that lightly. However, what we're here for, racial identity, racial politics, there's never a right time or a wrong time to do what's right. And that's why we're here today. As I said, I'm a lifelong Belmont resident. I went to South Point, was a star athlete, in my opinion, a star athlete at South Point. With the exception of my college years and some graduate years, I've been a lifelong Belmont resident. And with that being said, we have been a small, quiet town my entire life. Those issues that were going on in the national spotlight, whether they were racial or not, they did not make it to the city limits of Belmont. But unfortunately, in the words of Thomas Paine, the times have found us. We in this room have a difficult and unpopular responsibility to tell our county, our state, and the country that in no uncertain terms that the accepted ideas of the past will no longer be accepted. That Gaston County schools will no longer sanction the mocking of the Native American culture, nor allow racial slurs to be normalized in the halls of our learning institutions. Prior to this, we've attempted to appeal to the hearts and morals of those who are opposed to this idea. Today, though, we're going to appeal to more of a pragmatic policy approach. Federal and state law guarantee that all students have an equal right to learn, regardless of race, and the North Carolina State Board of Education has directed all districts to review their policies of Native American mascots given their known harmful effects. That order was 20 years ago. School board members have told reporters that this isn't a school board issue. We've seen that in the newspaper, that this is a South Point issue. However, it is Gaston County Schools' own policy, your policy, that dictates that unquestionably it is your issue. Your own harassment policy prohibits derogatory slurs, derogatory cartoons, or other behaviors that create a hostile learning environment. These are your words. My fellow Retire the Red Raider speakers will explain why the mascot violates your own policy. Psychological research demonstrates that Native American mascots and imagery have harmful effects on Native American student learning, achievement,
Williams,
and
please.
self-identity.
Please wrap it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elise Sadler.
My name is Elise Adler, and I reside at 305 Elm Street, Belmont, North Carolina. I have been a resident of Belmont for 35 years. I graduated from South Point High School in 2003 and received many honors as a Raider, including MVP for multiple sports teams, academic achievement in honor classes, and was crowned South Point Homecoming Queen. My honors and achievements, however, come second to the education and character development that I received during my 4 years. I take pride in being a South Point alumni. It truly takes a village, and I was always admired and respected the hearts of the teachers, students, and parents that showed me and my family fairness, kindness, support, and empathy. All of those people really helped me to develop as a leader because they showed by example that true leaders serve. I am here today along with the leaders of the Belmont community and the South Point High School to address the need to retire the South Point High School mascot, the Red Raider. I would like to speak on the psychological harm that it can create not only for Native American students in our community, but for the other ethnicities that attend the school as well. The American Psychological Association has summarized decades of research showing that Native mascots and imagery harm the social identity development of self-esteem of American Native young people. Specifically, research has shown that Native mascots and imagery establish an unwelcome and oftentimes hostile learning environment for Native students. They have a negative impact on the self-esteem of American Indian children by perpetuating stereotypes and disrespecting their spiritual beliefs, undermine the educational experience of members of all community, and constitute a form of discrimination. The Gaston County School Board has committed itself to create a safe, non-hostile learning environment for all students. The research makes it clear that Native mascots are harmful and contribute a hostile learning environment. This happened specifically in Gaston County. Isabella Lanford, an enrolled member of the Lumbee tribe, was granted special permission by Gaston County Schools in 2016 to transfer to another high school or any other high school in the county rather than to attend South Point because she and her mother found the mascot and the imitation of Native culture at the school events offensive of Native Americans. This shows that members of Gaston County Schools have already acknowledged that the mascot was harmful to Native American students. We are asking for accountability. Students and community members, along with some of those who are Native Americans and some who are not, have expressed for over 20 years that the mascot is offensive and creates a hostile learning environment for students. It is your responsibility as a school board, on behalf of the educators, counselors, and teachers, to listen and respond to those that cry out to help for you. To ignore those issues, to refuse to even issue a statement to those that have expressed their pain and fear, is to say that they do not matter and that they will be ignored because they were not the majority. Will the Gaston County School Board stand by their principles and mission to protect these students? Ending. And he will answer, I will tell you the truth. When you refuse to help the least of those, my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me. Matthew 25:45.
Natalie O'Connor.
Hi, I'm Natalie O'Connor. I live at 3248 Ashwood Park Drive in Belmont. I'm an incoming senior, a member of the women's tennis team, president of the National Honor Society, and am involved in a myriad of other activities at South Point. Even though I take pride in my many roles at South Point, I cannot take pride in a mascot that represents a racialized caricature of indigenous peoples and promotes offensive appropriation of Native American customs and identity. The history behind the term red and the slur redskin is dark and racist, and neither terms should be used to describe Native Americans. The image South Point uses of the Red Raider depicts an inaccurate and stereotypical generic Native American that does not honor local tribes, but rather encourages offensive cultural appropriation and mockery of Native American traditions. I've been to football games and witnessed the cultural appropriation and mockery of Native peoples, such as the tomahawk chop and war whoops. Both of these are gross misinterpretations of real cultures. This appropriation has made me very uncomfortable and uneasy in school and sporting events. I am not the only one who feels this way. We have received 32 testimonies from students, parents, teachers, and more who find the Red Raider offensive. SPHS teacher, basketball coach, and 2019 Gaston County's School Teacher of the Year, Cody Coobs, said, "While I do not believe the mascot was originally designed to be offensive or exclusive of certain people, unfortunately it is. At its most innocent, the mascot is in poor taste and culturally insensitive of indigenous peoples. At its worst, it's racist." Two other teachers, Stephen Lehman and Jan Miller, have also spoken up in support of changing the mascot, displaying great courage to stand up for their beliefs in face of an unacceptable online threats and harassment. An anonymous student in the SPHS class of 2021 states, "As someone who is Native American, it upsets me that so many people are defending such a racist, degrading, and stereotypical mascot. People need to realize that Native Americans are people. We are not a mascot, and we are not a costume." The student goes on to express how non-natives need to see how harmful racist mascots are to natives and students. You can read all of 32 testimonies as well as 2,280 petition signatures and comments in our policy brief. The Red Raider name is a derogatory slur, and the logo is a derogatory cartoon, both of which are prohibited by Gaston County Schools' own policy. The research base and statements from the local community both confirm the Red Raider mascot contributes to a hostile learning environment, especially for Native students. At least one Native American student has been approved for a transfer from South Point by GCS because of the mascot, showing that the district recognizes the offensiveness of the mascot to Native Americans. The Red Raider mascot is in violation. Thank you for your time.